So here we have 73 Mercedes 280 LS swapped. It's a 6.0 LQ. And just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we went through to get this thing to fit. So as you can see, this intake is smushed. Couldn't be completely round just to get it to fit. Everything fit very exactly. Now originally the motor was put in place here with the original steering box left in the car. Now at the end of the job, the customer and us honestly decided that a steering rack was probably the best way to go, so we also did a steering rack swap. And the steering rack came out of a 1991 Dodge Shadow Turbo with the 2.5 turn. And it wasn't too bad to get in there. Now, getting the motor in with the steering box was extremely difficult. However, where it sits just right now is the perfect place for it to actually have clearance to fit with the steering box there, original steering box, and the steering linkages. Now, at the time that we did this, we did not have we didn't have all the linkages hooked up originally, so that was one of the things that was difficult to determine whether or not it was going to fit perfectly, because it went between the bell housing right there where the rack is sitting now. So you can see how this fits in here. Now, what we're going to do in the future very soon is we're going to shorten the steering arms, because this steering rack doesn't, well, the arms don't allow the wheels to turn enough. So we're going to shorten those so that the wheels turn more with the steering wheel. And 2 single joint linkages was all it took to get it to hook up with the double D joint. And everything works great. Really low clearance on the exhaust. The exhaust is also flattened out. 4L60 trans, single exit with a wide pipe, 2.75 inch, starting at 2.5 at the headers. Air suspension's in this car, so it is adjustable suspension, which really helps, because I don't know where the stock suspension would have sat. And the oil pan, as you can see here, we had to weld on a little like a bump stop here just to protect the oil tank for how low it was. I mean, you can see it's very low, but it all fits. The oil pan has a front drop sump area. We have an aftermarket radiator that was already in the car before we did the swap, with a 16-inch radiator fan. It works really well, actually. It's about a 2.5 inch, 2.75 inch radiator width. And the rest of the car, everything really is stock as far as the brakes and the electrical. We got the cluster to work. Dakota Digital and a couple other people make a box that sits behind here, and it'll spin the cluster, and you can hook it up to the speed sensor, so that all works. Everything in the car originally works. The temp gauge, we used a VDO aftermarket temp sensor that fit the M12 1.5 thread on the passenger side of the block, and that works great. The oil pressure, because the gauge only goes up to 45, is pretty much pinned all the time because of the oil pressure that this engine puts out versus the stock engine that we took out of the car. The shifter's hooked up, original shifter, and it works great. We also added AC to this car. So this is an AC unit that came with a kit for a 280 SL of a similar year. And this also fit great. There's tons of leg room. It works so well. Blows ice cold air. Came with a compressor that we were not able to use, unfortunately. We had to use an R4 compressor, which was just easier to mount, especially having brackets that were made for the LS. This is our engine cover that we modified to work. It looks really good on the car. It's just shaved down the vortex, and this Mercedes logo has 3 pins on the back that we were able to just drill out the holes of, and works perfectly. It does screw on there. I'm not going to screw it on right now, but car really looks sharp. The exhaust is very difficult, fit really well though. The ECU is right down here. Here's the R4 compressor. The condenser, which is black, you can see fits in there. It came with the kit. Coolant overflow. We use the Evil Energy fuel pump and the Corvette fuel filter with the 58 psi return, internally regulated. So the steering, I would really recommend the rack. It was really easy to put in. We did have to modify the entire subframe, so we basically chopped out the whole top of it and we made it a little bit more narrow, and it really everything fits so perfectly. I mean, it just couldn't be any different. So this drop down bracket off the subframe supports the one side, and the other side was really pretty easy. Sorry the car's not on the lift anymore. I really forgot to do this. There's just a round clamp style bracket that we mounted a piece over here. You see that? Just comes off the subframe. That we had to modify and make. We also had to make the frame itself wider. We used a very particular steel for this. I can't recall the actual numbers, but we did have to chop a decent section out of each side. So you can see here, just a very heavy flat plate that we welded in there, just to clear the exhaust. You can see the shank shaft there. The joint like just fits. Eventually this brakes will be upgraded, very needed on this thing. But yeah, me and my partner did this in this very small garage. This is just what we do in here. A lot of engine building, fabrication work, and swap jobs. And this is definitely one of the more beautiful jobs we've done, for sure. Really clean car. There's really no rust in it. The air suspension's beautiful in the trunk too. And the whole car came out just perfect. The whole audio system's done. All the electrical in the car has been redone. So this is the 73 LS swapped Mercedes. Can be done. And I'm happy to put out some more videos as soon as this comes back in a few weeks, just for a look over and get it on the lift and go over some more specifics, show you some videos. I can definitely drop some pictures in here, some stuff that we did when we had the motor out, subframe in pieces, and give you a good look at what that all looks like apart. But just want to show the finished product and make a quick video on the outcomes. Still cable driven, Spear Tech ECU. There is a cam in this, but it's not tuned yet. It runs absolutely beautifully. Really no issues at all. 180 thermostat, 180 fan. And that's it. Thanks for watching.